Welcome to today's podcast, the orthoPAC episode that we're calling Voices in Practice, where we spotlight change makers in the future of healthcare. I'm your host, Sam Dyer, and today we're diving into a powerful conversation on women's empowerment in the physician associate profession, a topic that resonates deeply across clinical, academic, and leadership spaces. Joining us is Katerina Dons. Kat's an ED and emergency department PA who is a dynamic advocate for equity and advancement in medicine. Kat brings a bold voice to the movement for gender equity in healthcare, and she's here to share her journey, some challenges women PAs faced, and the transformative initiatives she's championing to elevate female professionals in the field. From mentorship and representation to systemic change and personal resilience, this episode explores what it truly means to empower women in a profession that's evolving rapidly and why that empowerment is essential for the future of patient care. Whether you're a seasoned PA, a student just starting out, or a healthcare leader looking to drive change, this conversation will inspire, inform, and ignite action. So without further ado, let's get started. Kat, welcome to our podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
We're excited to have you. Let me just give our listeners a little background. I was at the AAPA representing PAOS over in the corner with the rest of the COs and specialty organizations. I came across an organization I was not aware of, PAs for Women Empowerment. They had a line out the door, like every time I tried to go up and talk to the folks, and they had a lot of interest there. So I wanted to bring them on and share that with our audience as well. First topic, elevating leadership and visibility. So I'm going to give a statement on some of these topics that I had because I want to hear more about what Kat has to say. Elevating leadership and visibility. So women PAs have historically been underrepresented in leadership roles. Empowerment initiatives are helping close that gap by fostering mentorship, sponsorship, and leadership development. Kat, if you don't mind, please give our listeners some examples of ways that they can become more active in leadership roles.
That's always the age-old question, right? That we're facing now in today's day and age as women, where we we were emboldened by our mothers and our grandmothers to academically and career-wise push ourselves to areas that maybe they didn't quite have to their own advantage, where they may have hit a glass ceiling, and we're being pushed beyond and through that. We want, girl, go crash through that ceiling, if you will. However, we are still holding on to the vast majority of all of our household and more traditionally female assigned tasks. We haven't quite let go of all of that yet. And it's a struggle, right? We're seeing huge discrepancies now in the level of stressors. We see that female providers are burning out at much faster rates than our male counterparts. And it's because our jobs don't just involve only our careers. There's so much pressure to have your kids, to be present, join the PTA, cheer on your kids at soccer practice, but also get that degree, get that promotion, have all of the good reviews, bring in those RVUs. You have to compare yourself to every single person that's come before you and every other person that you're also currently standing amongst. And that pressure is real. And I don't think we've done a very good job of accepting that and admitting that and being really transparent about that. It's hard to advance within your career. I can't tell you how many times where I'll be working late at night. Sometimes, ER positions work true overnight shifts. Sometimes we work until 2 a.m. Sometimes we don't get out when we're supposed to get out because we can't necessarily plan emergencies. And then people will ask me, they'll be, "Where are your kids?" I'm like, "At home with their dad, who's perfectly capable of taking care of them. He is also a fully functional adult." My husband never gets asked, "Who's with your kids?" if you're here at work. So being a woman in an independent career where you're expected to lead a team and to take charge, it comes with unique struggles. The best thing that we can do is to just fully acknowledge that it's okay if you're succeeding in one area in one day and you're just not doing your best in another area on the same day.
Great. The whole gender role and everything it's a lot different than it was, say, 40, 50 years ago, but a lot of things carry through, don't they? A
Right.
lot of expectations and thought processes, they just continues to carry through. Tell us about PAs for Women Empowerment. Tell us about this AAPA specialty organization, what you guys do, what it stands for, any kind of influence that you guys have, and if we have interested PAs, how might they get involved? And I do want to say one thing about the demographics of PAs. 80%, I think, more or less, there is probably closer number, but 80% of PAs are women. 20% are men. Now, in orthopedics, you flip flop, it's 50-50,
Mhm.
but the overwhelming majority of PAs are women. So women should have a big say in what's going on, in my opinion. Can you talk about the PAs for Women Empowerment, please?
Our group actually started, admittedly, out of spite. PAs for Women Empowerment was born out of a special interest group called PA Moms. We are the largest special interest group of the AAPA. Currently, we have about 21,000 members.
Wait a second. Tell me that one more time. We have just found a new group that we need to market to. Please tell me that one more time.
We were kind of the brainchild of PA Moms. So PA Moms is a special interest group of the AAPA. It's got 21,000 members. It's an online community. It started because we had a group of women who were young, even 15, 20 years ago, and there weren't a lot of similarly aged PAs who were also young mothers who needed to talk to somebody about the unique struggles that we had as working moms. And it's kind of blossomed into this grassroots, ginormous group. But we wanted to bring the voices and the conversations that we had within our group to the House of Delegates of the AAPA. And then we were told that special interest groups are not granted voting power. Only a caucus can bring about change to the bylaws. So we made a caucus. Basically, we said, all right, fine, we'll play by your rules. Now listen to us. And our intention here at PAs for We is to be the voice for women's issues within the PA profession. We take those issues that are held near and dear to particular women within our group, and we help bring them to the stage. We don't ever want one person to feel like, well, who am I? Who's going to listen to me? I'm just this one small voice in the back of the room, and girl, I will hold your hand and I will march you forward. We show up with our tools and we pave our own way where there may not have been a path before. You mentioned that women make up 80% of the PA profession, and that's true across most healthcare professions. We are 80% of all healthcare professionals, but only 25% of healthcare leadership roles are held by women. If you also want to consider in a group of 1,000 PAs, if 78% of PAs are women, 64 out of 780 women will hold a leadership role, but 36 out of 220 men will hold a leadership role. If you look back into our career history, less than 11% of PA women will have held leadership roles, but 16% of our male PAs will have held a leadership role. And why is that? It's because we're always drawn to familiar faces and like sounding voices. I don't think that that's any one particular person's fault, but we're comfortable with what we already know. So we're comfortable with the people that mirror us. Leadership has historically always been held by a certain population, and then they'll gather more of the same, and it's the snowball effect. So it's the responsibility of all of us to acknowledge this and to break that cycle.
Great. And that's one reason why I wanted to have you on, because we really want to put this out there. We need more women in leadership roles and we need more women making decisions. And, this is one way that hopefully we can try to help make that happen. So we talked about leadership. What about strengthening the workforce? Empowered women bring diverse perspectives and collaborative leadership styles that enhance team dynamics and patient care. By supporting women at every stage of their careers, from students to seasoned professionals, the PA profession becomes more resilient, inclusive, and innovative. What do you think about those two statements, Kat, and what things would you add to that?
Inclusion means that all voices should have the ability to be heard. Diversity means that not all voices are going to say the same things. it's everyone's responsibility to remain that those conversations are inclusive and are respectful of diverse opinions. For instance, what matters to orthopedic PAs may not matter to emergency medicine PAs, and vice versa. I recently learned that women practicing orthopedics have 190% increased risk with an incidence of 3 to 4 times that of other women for developing breast cancer. That's not an insignificant statistic. We cannot correct what it is that we do not know. So it's important to make sure that everyone has a seat at the table and gets their turn to talk. And it also means that those of us who are already at the table need to ensure that we're walking around and inviting other people to join us. When we're talking about inequity, it's addressing that some voices are just not as loud as others. Where I've got 3 siblings raised with 2 additional cousins, so there are 6 kids under the age of 8 in the house that I grew up in. I am well accustomed to yelling louder to make sure that I was heard, and not everybody is. So I feel that it's my responsibility to say, well, you were not given that lung power, so I'm going to hand you a microphone so that we can be heard at the same decibel. I think it's important that we make sure that those of us who have every right to be walking amongst us have all of the tools that they need to catch up.
Right. And without the barriers would be nice, right? Some of the stereotypes and some of the biases and whatnot, it would be nice not to have those too. Kat, I appreciate your time today, and I look forward to talking to you more in the future.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining the orthoPAC podcast. We also welcome you to visit our website, paos.org, where members can download virtual conference content and get Category 1 CME. Also, if you're a non-member and you're interested in our CME content, please visit the aapa.org Learning Central for the PAOS virtual content.